We're not allowed to answer this at this time for you. We are, however, allowed to tell you that what is going on in that area is to some degree connected to the idea of the energy that will bring about the major contact event that Bashar has spoken to you about in your 26 and 27 arena of time and space. That is all that is allowed to be given to you at this time from us.
Understood.
That was delivered by a different kind of being that is in touch with what is going on about that energy and is watching over that area for a variety of reasons and assisting in certain ways. That is all we are allowed to say at this time.
Understood. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and yeah. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Ave.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Bashar. What can you tell us about dogs that we might not already know? And why do they seem like the happiest animals on earth?
Because they are, in a sense, devoted to pure service, pure love. And therefore, that is the happiest state. And therefore, they represent the idea of service, represent the idea of connections to spirit as the energy of service, as the energy of unconditional love, and are willing to take on, for the people they associate with, many of the symbolic reflections of issues and challenges that the human may be going through, to reflect back to you as a mirror of service what it is you're going through by seeing the behavior in the dog, and understand again it is connected to Sirius, and that's why you intuitively call it the dog star. So the idea of higher perception, higher vibration, higher frequencies of unconditional love and service to all is what the dog represents as an animal on your planet in general, among other things that we will not go into that deeply at this time.
Ha'atu, Bashar.
And to you, good day. Ha'atu.
It's my honor and pleasure to speak with you today.
As it is for us as well. What would you like to discuss?
My first question is, how does one differentiate between communication from the higher mind or spirit guide as opposed to something conjured up in the physical mind?
Well, it's not always important to do so if the information is something that works to your benefit in the direction you prefer. Therefore, trying to figure out where it's coming from or who it's coming from isn't always as important as you might think, because it could get in your way and slow down the process of simply acting on the information if it is representative of the vibration you prefer. So you don't always have to differentiate. If it is important that you should differentiate, synchronicity will probably bring to your attention a way in which to do so.
Thank you.
Yes.
How can one recognize that one is a different person even if they have memories of trauma of past events from non-preferable versions of themselves and experiences?
Well, you can begin to recognize perhaps a difference in the so-called emotional distancing that may occur if you're simply looking at something from another version of yourself, maintaining your ability to see that version, but not necessarily having the strength of feeling that you used to have about it. That's one way. It can be something more observational, like you're looking at a movie of someone else as opposed to something that's truly still as relevant to you as it used to be. That's one way.
Thank you.
The fact also, one moment, we're not done.
Sorry.
The fact also that you may be looking at that event itself from another perspective as a way of recognizing yourself and even asking the question itself, how can I tell the difference, is an indication that you may be using that connection differently than you used to.
I see. Are you also doing first contact work in any other very different time periods on Earth? And if so, may you share?
In a way, my civilization is. I myself am focused in what you would recognize as your present timeline in general, though there are parallel reality aspects to that as well. in different timelines and different versions of Earth that I am also simultaneously in contact with. But my civilization has to some degree interacted with your civilization in what you call ancient times? Yes.
What meaning does the year 2023 have from your perspective?
It has different meanings from different perspectives depending upon who we are speaking with. Because we're only referring to this idea of your present year from the perspective of the people with whom we connect.
Are you limited by the information that is only experienced through Darryl? As an example, a piece of art that Darryl has never seen may mean that you haven't seen it. So I'm curious if it is the same with certain knowledge and information as well.
To some degree, yes. First of all, we impose certain limitations on ourselves in communicating with your species if that information would interfere with your process and your growth. So there are things we may not know while we're communicating with you that we will know when we reconnect with our own civilization. But yes, there are certain limitations. If the channel doesn't have certain vocabulary, then we may not be able to express a certain idea in a way that may make sense to humans, in the way they are used to hearing it. We can make an attempt to express it in other terms that are within the channel's vocabulary. So there is that limitation that does exist. There are certain things we can allow our consciousness to impress upon the channel's consciousness that go beyond his immediate knowledge. The word Bashar itself is an example of that. But that's easier done when the channel has absolutely no idea what to expect, no idea of what is coming in that context. Because he didn't speak the language that the word Bashar comes from. And therefore we're able to sort of slip it in because he had no idea what to expect of our connection to him at that time, at that point. So we're able to do it because he didn't know that he couldn't receive it.
Ah, interesting. When was the Sphinx built, and why is it a lion?
It wasn't a lion to begin with. It was Anubis to begin with. The idea of the so-called god of the dead, the underworld. It is about 10,500 of your years ago, far longer than your present archaeologists believe. It was done at the time, slightly before and during the destruction of Atlantis, for the preservation of knowledge and instruction for the reclaiming of that knowledge at your present time in general. And it has to do with the connections to the stars and the connection to spirit guides having to do with the idea of the underworld. Over time, the Sphinx has become eroded and changed and resculpted in a variety of ways. But its original form was as Anubis, which represents the idea of your connection to the spirit realm.
I see. Seeing as how the Earth is a planet with a theme of recycling, I was curious as to how many times the Earth has been repopulated with humans.
Humans, as you understand them today, have not repopulated the Earth. Other kinds of beings have populated the Earth before your time.
Were they very different from human beings, or somewhat?
Some of them were humanoid. A few of them were not at all.
Why are they not here right now?
Because it is your time. They have done what they needed to do, just as you will eventually no longer reincarnate as human on the Earth when it is no longer your time, when you no longer need the lessons that Earth can provide. In about 1,000 of your years, you will stop reincarnating altogether as the human species because you will already have been evolved into the 6th hybrid race, and you will move on to something else. And other beings will come in to take advantage of the cycles of Earth in their own way, on their own journey.
Wow.
It's like graduating from a school. Why go back? You have graduated. Other students will come in to use the facilities, to learn new things.
I hear that. One last question, if I may. If possible, may I receive a mantra from your ancient language, perhaps maybe to help me connect more clearly with the silver cord?
Ash-ah shakanani. Ash-ah shakanani. Ash-ah shakanani.
Thank you so much. Namaste, aho, and my deepest unconditional love your way for all that you do. And I mean, thank you so much.
Aveo.
Aveo.
Hey, hello, Bashar. So my question is about a couple years ago, I was meditating, and when I about to end my meditation, I heard a voice, and this voice is both female and male, and they said, "We are surround you," in English. By the way, my first language is Chinese, and they spoke to me in English. This is the first time, and second time is so I was meditating. And when I'm about to end my meditation, I heard a voice. This time is definitely a male voice. And he said, "Come with me." And I asked back, "Who are you?" And I get no answer. And meanwhile, at the same time, I can feel this electricity can go from the top of my head and through my spine across my body. So my question is, what happened and who was it? What's their purpose? Thank you, Bashar. I love you.
Our unconditional love to you as well. This is a combination of different things happening by your spirit guides and by your own higher mind and by your connections to many other things that you are connected to energetically and interdimensionally. It's basically for the purpose of allowing you to experience the result and rewards of your meditation in raising your frequency. That vibration you felt was the result of raising your frequency as the physical body interprets it. So the idea is come with me means be yourself, be your higher self, be like me. So you are being assisted by guides and your higher self through your meditations. So continue if you wish. It will help you.
Hello and good day.
Good day, good day.
How are you?
Perfect, and you?
Also perfect. Thank you for that reminder.
All right, what would you like to discuss?
In the past, we've discussed genetics and the technology of such, and I wanted to further clarify and have a conversation.
Repeat the word.
I wanted to have a conversation around genetics
Yes.
and the understanding of how your contact sigil, which is a geometry I've been fascinated with, or even before I met you, in regards to how that and the Triana relate to genetics, as well as the teachings of Jesus Christ relate to genetics as well in the Bible.
All right, I'm going to give you one phrase that covers it all and let you ponder this.
Yes.
As above, so below. The idea of DNA is what you are as a physical being. Ponder those things. As above, so below. Look at the order in which that occurs. And the idea of DNA is what you are as a physical being.
So what comes to mind when you say that is as above, or in the quantum field, or in the all that is, in the Father energy, in the expression of God. Below that is lensed through the individual relationship of our genetics, which creates our physical experience.
To some degree, yes.
So when
which starts as DNA.
Yes.
And is you as a physical being. This body that you all walk around in is the suit that DNA required to have a physical experience. But you, as a physical being, are actually the DNA.
Yes. So would it be accurate to say that DNA is the lensing mechanism for all that is, or for the quantum plenum or the ether to express itself physically?
Yes.
And so in your contact sigil, what comes to mind is that trinary structure, similar to the Triana. You have the trinary structure, which could relate to the codons in the DNA. So you have 64 codons. And then you have that Fibonacci spiral that can be clockwise or counterclockwise. You have a binary code of that trinary structure.
Yes, although it's not just a binary code, because you have to think multidimensionally,
Yes.
not just in a plane.
Yeah, of course. It's, yeah, every,
All right.
okay. And then, so in the teachings of Jesus Christ, when he says, you know, even the least among you can do as I do, I and my Father are one. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God. It seems as though that is saying what I hear you saying in regards to that God, all that is, goes through the Word, which is our DNA or our translation interface to.
Well, it's a vibration. It's a vibrational frequency. It's resonance. The word is resonance, frequency, vibration, that then transmutes into the idea of the DNA and projects into a physical reality experience. Remember, the symbolic interpretation that is imposed upon many ideas of your religion is that it is a trinity.
Yes.
Whether or not the symbols that are used are necessarily literal isn't the point. The point is that it is recognized as a trinity. As above, so below, but there's an in-between, always.
Yes, and that in-between would have a positive, negative, neutral lensing.
In terms of the sigil, you have the three that represent the idea of the trinity, but then you have the spiral that is the active principle in the center that brings into being what is above into below.
Got it. So it's a transceiver. So that's the
Yes.
geometry of how it receives and how it expresses
Yes.
optimally.
Yes.
In the past, we've discussed a genetic or resonance technology for health that's related to that Fibonacci spiral, more specifically to the 0.6180 frequency that corresponds to the same DNA width to length. And obviously that golden ratio is everywhere.
Yes. 1 to 1.618, yes.
So that 1 to 1.618
represents how the structure of physical reality expands fractally.
Yeah, fractal propagation is all on that.
Yes.
Which seems as though that's also how your internal lattice structure physiologically, what's known as the interstitial fluid matrix, those ratios of linkages are all that same ratio.
Yes, and it is also representative of the interstitial structure between dimensions.
Oh, wow. And how does that relate to pi? Because in the past, you've discussed pi being that in-between parallel realities.
Pi is the expansive principle within each dimension, the infinite expanding principle that never ends. So every dimension that exists contains at its core a seed that is pi, representing its expansive potential.
Okay. And then so all in the book of Genesis, when it talks about all of the plants, all of the animals, the human dominion over those aspects being a seed in kind that is God, it's also discussing the relationship of genetics that permeates all.
Yes, and remember that in its ancient meaning, dominion doesn't mean in control of, it means caretaker of.
Yeah. Hopefully we bring that back. Thank you so much, Bashar.
Thank you, thank you. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hi, Bashar.
To you, good day.
We have a lot of fantastic questions from our audience members today.
All right, you are standing in for Nania then.
I am.
All right, please proceed, Mother of Seven.
Thank you. Can the silver cord help us to create and keep a strong connection to the highest version of ourselves in the future or any other timeline to receive guidance?
It can, to some degree, be used that way because your higher mind is connected to all those probabilities, and information can come through the higher mind and through the silver cord to your physical personality with that information. So yes, it can be used that way if you focus that way.
Can you provide us with permission slips to use the silver cord for lucid dreaming?
Again, the idea is that the silver cord is the energy connection between the physical and the higher mind. Therefore, you could perhaps imagine allowing your energy, your consciousness to rise up the silver cord, but stop about halfway in whatever way that appears to be natural to you between your physical and higher mind, and allow the stopping of your energy and your consciousness halfway between the physical and non-physical to grow and expand into the idea of the astral realm. And that permission slip, if you focus on it and meditate on it, can assist in the idea of lucid dreaming.
Thank you. Are we connected to each other with silver cords?
You are connected to each other with an energy net. The silver cord is a terminology that is specific to the idea of the connection between your individual physical mind and your individual higher mind. But you are connected to everyone and everything through another energy web, but that is not what is typically referred to as the silver cord. The silver cord is a specific connection between you and your higher mind.
And what are the physical signs that the silver cord is no longer connected to the body?
You are dead.
Okay.
Because there is no reason for the silver cord to be there if you are no longer physical. As long as you are physical, the silver cord remains because it is the extension from the higher mind to the physical mind. So if there's no more physical mind, there is no more silver cord.
From your perspective, do cemeteries radiate intelligent human life? Are the silver cords of the deceased still active and spread out from their graves? I guess not. Yeah.
The idea, again, is that if a spirit chooses to remain close to the earth vibration in the lower astral, there may still be a version of the silver cord because they have not completely let go of the physical vibration of earth. But for the most part, those, as you say, that are dead have no silver cord if they have moved on into the higher realm of spirit and allowed themselves to be the higher mind once again, be the spirit they have always been. But again, if someone remains close to the earth vibration, there may be a similar idea that you could still refer to as the silver cord, though it would be lighter in essence and in energy, because again, it's not so far removed from the idea of non-physical reality.
I see. Does being skilled at astral projection make dying easier? If so, is it because you know how to expand beyond the physical body from a conscious state?
Yes, because you have become used to the idea of being non-physical, being beyond the body. Therefore, the transition from physical to non-physical is something that becomes familiar to you through astral projection, out-of-body travel. And there is no longer, once you have that experience in general, no longer any concern about the idea of whether or not your consciousness continues after physical death.
Do the Esusani have silver cords?
Everything that is physical has a type of energy connection to their spiritual self. So in general, yes. Although again, we are quasi-physical and therefore the silver cord again may not be, shall we say, as dense as the silver cords of physical humans on Earth.
And what happens to your physical body when you die, meaning the Asasani body? Do you bury your bodies on the planet or like we do on Earth?
No. Our bodies convert completely back into energy, into electromagnetic spiritual energy. Nothing is left.
Okay. This person is asking a question about meditation. I was doing a trance meditation and had to try
It depends on the person. It depends on the theme you're exploring. It varies from person to person in terms of its percentage of influence, as you say. It depends. So there are some things that are clearly breaking away from the idea of the collective when you see things, for example, like a person such as Einstein, who comes up with a completely different paradigm for what the collective originally agreed to believe in. And thus, eventually, the collective adapts to that new paradigm expressed by very few people on the planet. So that's an opportunity for the collective to experience, shall we say, a loophole in the collective agreement that it is in certain timings, in certain ways, and with certain synchronicities, willing to have the entire paradigm agreement change. But the idea is that there are a few very general things that most people on your planet will not even care to change in order to accomplish what they need to accomplish, such as you are playing a game of physical reality, and there's such a thing as the planet Earth, and such a thing as gravity, and so on and so forth. But again, it really depends on the person. Now, the things that excite you the most, that are truly aligned with your passion and truly representative of who you are, can always be accomplished in some way, shape, or form within the collective agreement, because that's allowed. But the idea is you may still be willing to believe that you must go through a process in order to figure all that out and express yourself, because the process itself may be what is necessary for you to have a fuller appreciation of what it is you are ultimately able to accomplish in expressing your true passion in life. And that's part of the collective agreement too.
Okay.
Does that answer your question sufficiently?
Yes, I got that.
All right, so have fun.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Aveo.
Okay.
Hello, Bashar. This is Nathan Viasana. I was wondering if it would be any way possible if I could have contact with one of the beings, if possible. I'm open to the idea, and I think it would be a great opportunity if I can have a close contact or come in contact. I guess that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's good to meet you, Bashar, and she's the best.
Well, obviously, we are having contact right now in this particular format, but we understand what is meant. But again, there's a timing to these things that's appropriate not only for the individual, but for the all, for the collective. So again, we would simply suggest that you do your best to follow the formula, and remember that acting on your passion means acting to the best you are able to act, which means if you can't do a certain thing that you're excited about, then it's telling you that it's not necessarily the appropriate timing for that expression, but you can act on other things you are able to act on. So do so, and you will accelerate the process of being able to be ready in vibrational states that are appropriate for open contact to happen face to face with other kinds of beings. As we say, we will be giving you other permission slips, other exercises having to do with the idea of increasing the probability of contact when we go through the transmissions of the window, the door, and the gate. So that may be of assistance to you as well in the upcoming months of your 2023 year.
Hello. Hi. First, I want to say thank you for the synchronicity of talking with you.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
Thank you. So, I'm curious to know about a couple experiences I've had.
All right.
I made some homemade tincture and
Of what?
the THC,
All right.
and I laid down to take a nap. And I thought that I fell asleep because I felt my entire body vibrating, and it was very intense but very pleasurable. I thought I was asleep. My bed felt like it was levitating on an angle with the head raised higher. And I thought it felt like I was in warm water. It felt like somebody was behind me and wrapping their hand around my waist. And eventually I got up because I thought that I peed my bed. But it turns out that, my bed was dry, and when I looked at my watch to see how long I was asleep, it didn't detect any sleep. And then I had another similar experience where it felt like something externally again was pushing up from my root chakra, and it again was very pleasurable. So I'm wondering what these experiences could have been.
They're preparation states for altered states, fuller altered states that you may achieve later on. It's preparing you and allowing you to get used to certain higher frequencies so that you can more smoothly transition into higher altered states later on.
Okay.
Do you understand?
So was that my own body, or was that another entity?
There are other entities involved peripherally to some degree, but what you are experiencing is your own energy going into altered states, higher frequencies.
Okay. And also, I had come across a YouTube video from Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer, how to channel class, and I was doing one of his exercises, and I saw an entity, a being. He appeared to be male, with bluish gray skin and bluish gray hair. He seemed to have a flat affect, no really emotional. He didn't look like emotional at all. He appeared to be like a warrior type, not in a negative way, but just like a warrior type. I'm wondering, did I happen to see somebody that was not reaching out to me, just because I didn't have any specific, person in mind that I was trying to connect with? I just was seeing.
You are experiencing one face, one aspect in symbolic form of your own higher mind.
So is that another entity from like another dimension?
Your higher mind, your spirit self on the higher level. One aspect of it. Yes, but not you, the physical person only. A bigger representation. Remember that you are in spirit right now. You never leave spirit. That's your natural state. So what you were seeing is a portion, a representation, just one representation of a multifaceted level of your own being in the spirit world.
Were they trying to communicate with me, or
they did communicate with you? Because the things that you picked up are aspects you contain.
Ah, I see. Are they located anywhere? Where are they located?
On a different plane, here and now, different frequency. In again, the same way that two television programs are located in the same space, but you only see one at a time based on what you're tuned to. All spirit is here. It's just a different frequency, different channel, if you wish.
And does this entity have a name?
It's up to you to determine what you wish to call your own higher mind. Remember, this is you. You keep referring to it as this entity. It's not separate from you. You are an aspect of it. You are a projection of it. It is reflecting qualities to you that you contain, even as a physical being.
Okay. And
Use them. Use them in life. Go boldly forward.
okay. And I feel like somebody or something has been trying to connect with me. It is.
Did we not just talk about it?
Yes, you did.
All right. Don't separate what is not separated in terms of a question. It is all the same thing that we're talking about here.
Okay.
Your higher self is showing you and giving you opportunities to make a stronger, aware connection with it so that you can move forward in life more fully as your true self, acting on your passions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Aveo.
Hi, Bashar. This is Teresa. Can you talk about scapegoating? Why does scapegoating happen within a family? And what should a person do if they've been scapegoated their whole lives, not to be socially marginalized? I grew up the scapegoat within my family, and I still have great difficulty feeling connected to other people, even in my old age. Thank you for all that you've done for me.
Where it is a badge of strength that you chose to be strong enough to, in a sense, take on the fears and lack of responsibility that other people have when they are not willing to look at their own issues and simply choose someone to foist them all and project them all upon. So it's a badge of strength that you were willing to do this for them, but you must reflect, if you are to be true to yourself, the idea that rather than continuing as a scapegoat, it's possible for you, though they don't have to accept it, that you can return information to them that allows them the opportunity to face their own fears and not foist them off on you, to allow them to take responsibility for their own negative and fear-based belief systems that they are simply unwilling to face, which is why people create scapegoats, because they fear the responsibility, because they define it as blame, and they are coming from a place of less than worthiness, and so on and so forth. But you have decided to be strong enough to play the part that allows them to use you, in a sense, as an excuse to not face themselves. But you don't have to continue to do so if you can respond appropriately. That puts them in touch with the idea that they need to look at themselves and their own issues if they really wish to expand in life. But that means you can go on without feeling like a scapegoat or experiencing the effects of being one, if you take the responsibility to reflect to them what it is they are actually reflecting to you about their own fears.
Hello?
All right, good day, good day.
Hi, very nice to talk to you.
And you as well. What would you like to discuss this day?
I wanted to ask you if you have transgender people on your planet.
It has happened from time to time, though it is not necessarily a theme we completely need to explore. Although as we evolve, in a sense, we become less differentiated in male and female and closer to spirit, which contains no gender and all genders at all. So in that sense, you may say that many of us are now what you might refer to as androgynous, neither male nor female exactly, but not exactly the same expression of transgender that you are exploring on Earth.
Okay, that's amazing. That's great news for me.
Oh,
I wanted to ask you if, okay, so my name is Linnea,
yes.
and it's a plant name,
Yes.
and it is considered a pretty feminine name. I am in the process of transitioning, but I really like my name.
Yes.
Because it's a plant name and I work with plants, and I know Willa Hillichrising talks about having plant names in the future, and that really resonates with me.
Yes.
So I was wondering if there is a name that comes through you to me that would make sense for me after I transition medically.
Into?
A male.
Well, if you wish to retain traditional suffixes on your planet, you could call yourself Linneo.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. That's amazing. Okay, whoa, that's really interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
My ancestors are from Lebanon.
Yes.
Can I ask a question about Lebanon?
You may ask. We do not know yet whether we will be allowed to answer, but go ahead.
Okay, great. So I have ancestry from that area. That's kind of the only area that I have ancestry from. And when I look at Lebanon, it seems like a place that experiences a lot of challenges and a lot of identity crisis issues.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, it's kind of hard for me to find information on Lebanon. And I'm wondering if you have any idea of the original people of Lebanon and if they ever lived harmoniously with the land and if they ever lived harmoniously with each other.
In some ways, yes, but it is an area, as you say, of great challenge and great cycles of exploration. We would suggest, even though it may not be only connected to the idea of Lebanon, if you have not done so already, explore the idea of Baalbek.
Okay.
And see what comes up for you.
Explore, and you mean just research. And not go there?
Yes, if you wish. You may ultimately go there, but for now, research is fine. Baalbek.
Okay. Okay, great. Can you talk a little bit about, is there any energy point in Lebanon that makes it so chaotic, or is it just what people there have agreed to experience?
To some degree, it's what they have agreed to experience, but it is a deeper story than that and a longer story than we have time to express today.
Well, will we get to know sometime in my lifetime what the story there is? It just seems
potentially, yes.
You have talked about how on first contact we would get a complete history of our planet.
That will be contained within it, yes.
Amazing. Do I have time for one more question?
Well, that was a question. I guess you did.
Okay. I have a question you've probably answered a whole bunch of times already, but
always the first time, every time.
Okay, interesting. What are some actual practices on how to stop caring about what people think? Because just identifying it to me doesn't stop those reoccurring patterns and those reoccurring thoughts. It's something I've been working on my whole life. So I'm wondering, yeah.
Well, this goes down once again to the motivational mechanism we have talked about. The idea that you believe these things to be truer than the alternative, yourself. So the question is, since you only believe things you believe serve you, the alternative must be scarier or believed to be worse than what you're already willing to believe about yourself to be true. So when people say things and you care about what they're saying in the negative sense, there is a portion of you in your belief system that agrees with them or is afraid that it might be true. You need to get in touch with how it serves you to hold on to that assessment of yourself, why you would align yourself with something that you don't prefer to be true about yourself, and examine why you're holding on to it. Usually it has to do with issues of lack of self-worth, or the idea that the alternative belief, the one that you know would be more positive, is somehow something you believe would actually cause something worse to happen than simply staying where you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll have to process that. But the first part really struck a chord with me.
All right. The motivational mechanism is simply that within your consciousness where you will always move toward what you believe serves you and always move away from what you believe does not. So if you notice that you're holding on to things that don't serve you, like maybe caring too much about what people think of you, not saying you can't take advice from time to time, that's fine, but you get to determine what is true for you. But holding on to things you know are not necessarily preferable and judging yourself in that sense, you have to find out why you would think that that is to your benefit.
Okay.
Because the idea, again, is that if you believe it is to your benefit to hold on to that concept, that usually means, again, it's an issue of self-worth, or it's an issue that the alternative somehow, because of your belief system, would appear worse, that something bad will happen if you go the other way that you prefer to go.
Right.
So examine those two probabilities and you will hit upon what the belief is. And as soon as you really look around and compare yourself to others in the world who may be living in the way you prefer to, you will realize that you actually do have a choice, and that to hold on to something you don't prefer makes no sense. And as soon as it truly makes no sense, it'll be gone, because you don't hold on to things that don't make sense. So you have a belief that's making the idea make sense. You have to find that belief and let it go.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
One more question about, there's a lot of predictions that 2023 will be a year of famine, which doesn't sound right to me.
For some, it's true.
For some, it's true?
Yes, but not for all.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is the splitting prism when you are starting to diversify into different threads, different realities, different versions of Earth. So for some, but again, remember, there's no such thing as a prediction of the future. The energy that is created in the prediction is the sensing of what's in the present that has a high degree of probability, unless hearing the prediction makes you change it.
How likely is it to switch, to change that probability for myself?
As likely as you believe it to be. So again, examine your beliefs. Why wouldn't it be likely? Why wouldn't it be probable for you to go in a different direction?
Right.
Remember,
so it comes down to that
fear attracts.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, why are you concerned about this? What are your belief systems telling you that you would bring this up as a question?
Yeah.
How much stock are you putting in that idea? And why? And you will have your answer.
I don't fear it for myself. I fear it for other people.
Yes, but they have their own path too.
Yeah. Okay.
So while you can do whatever you can to help,
yeah,
and perhaps stave off the idea of starvation or famine for others,
yeah,
all you can do is do what you can. People have their own paths. You're not living their lives. They may have chosen this for their own reasons.
That's true.
And what you have to share with them and how you can help may affect them somewhere down the line if it doesn't do so right away. But that's all you can do. What they choose to do with what you choose to help them with is none of your business.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Be helpful, but be respectful of their own path as well if you seem like you're not able to really do something for them. They're making their own choices too.
Thank you. You've answered all of my questions. I appreciate that.
It is our deep appreciation to you for the interaction. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hello, Bashar. This is Meerte from the Netherlands, and I have some experiences I would like to ask you about. So, somewhere in my 20s, I was sitting on the couch. I was watching our cat jumping through the living room, and all of a sudden, I felt like I caught a glimpse of his perspective. So I was closer to the floor, I was facing in a different direction, but especially the air around me, like usually I just ignore space and look at the objects in it. But now it was like the air was very active and like sparkly and very alive. Like a few years later, I was babysitting a little kid, and I was sitting at the table, and she was standing to my right. And all of a sudden I could see the table on eye level, and I saw my own figure to the left. And especially my senses were very active, like less focus on my thoughts and more on my senses. And then a few years later, again, I was helping a friend who was making a YouTube video. So I was filming her and holding the camera and listening to her story. And then all of a sudden I could see myself holding the camera in front of me. So it felt like switching places, but more than switching places, it was like their perspective was added to mine for a while. Just for a few seconds, because I would be very surprised. And I think the surprise in itself just kind of like moved me back to my own perspective. But I was wondering, can you tell me a little bit about what happens in a situation like that? How would you describe something like that? And also, how could we, what could we do to actively develop a skill like that to maybe purposefully switch places or add perspectives for a moment? Thank you so much.
Well, there are many ways that you might learn to do that more intentionally, but for right now, they are simply signposts for you to get used to the idea that you are loosely connected to physical reality, and thus slipping back into the idea of your spirit perspective, which sees all things as connected, which sees all perspectives from every point of view. So you're kind of practicing going back and forth between the denser physical material world and the less dense spiritual perspective of knowing that you are everything, you are connected to everything, and can perceive everything from everyone else's perspective. So you're practicing back and forth doing that so that you maintain more conscious awareness of your connection to physical reality and know that you are creating it as a projection, as a dream projection of your consciousness. So it's just a process you're going through that you'll get better at. Just keep going, follow the formula. It will expand and it will accelerate.
Hey.
Good day.
Bashar, hello.
Good day, good day. That prevented their birth, such as wars and so on and so forth.
I see. And is there a concern in your society that if we get this technology now, it may be used for the wrong purposes?
It is not a concern. It is simply a recognition that you may use it for negative purposes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
All right, we thank you. Our deep appreciation and Aveo.
Aveo.
Hello, Bashar. You said the definition of abundance is the ability to do what I need when I need. So it's not about what I want, but what I need. Could you please clarify these two terms? Because I can imagine I know what I want, but I don't know what I need. And also, if I know what I need, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's supposed to be comfortable. So where is the place for joy? How the excitement and passion is related to this? Could you please clarify that? Thank you.
Well, first of all, we make the differentiation between what you want and what you need, because sometimes what you want can be an ego structure, desire, that isn't necessarily aligned with what you truly need in life, for your joy, for your comfort. And you must watch your definitions, because when you say that what you need might not give you joy, that's a contradiction in the true definition of what you need. Because if you get what you need, it will always be comforting and always give you joy, because you will feel fulfilled by getting what you truly need. Whereas asking for what you want and receiving what you want will not always allow you to feel joy and happiness, because what you want, again, might be coming from a negative place in the ego that may or may not be really aligned with the idea of what you truly need that will give you fulfillment. So the idea is the 7 basic needs in life, as we have said, for physical thriving are that you need air, you need water, you need sleep, you need food, you need the idea of some form of shelter or pleasant environment that is life-supporting. You need the idea of connection or relationship to something, whether it's another human or not is not the point. And you need the idea of self-expression, your creative expression, in other words, that which dovetails into following your passion. If you are fulfilled in getting the air, the food, the water, the sleep, the idea of shelter, the idea of connection, the idea of expression of your true self, you will be fulfilled, and that will give you joy. What you want can sometimes coincide with what you need, and that's fine if it does. But the idea is to have a definition of attracting what you need, which are simple, basic things that everyone needs to thrive in physical reality, and those things will always make you feel fulfilled. So that is the basic difference, is to allow yourself to want what you need, and you will always be fulfilled.
Hello, Bashar. It's so nice to talk to you.
And you as well. What would you like to discuss this day?
So my first question is, I would love to know how do you personally perceive contrast and what we as human call pain or suffer? And also if you perceive, if your perspective can be different from others in your civilization like we have here, where some believe in hell and the devil is the one that punish people, and others believe in energy and that is what creates thought forms like the devil. So all these different points of view.
We do not have as many divergent points of view as you do, though we do have some. But they are not as extreme as what you are experiencing on your planet, because we are not as dense in vibration, and we can see the structure of existence and understand it a little bit more clearly, naturally. The idea, however, as you put it, is that from our perspective, what you're calling conflict is resistance to the natural self. Pain is resistance to the natural self. Going with the flow of your truth will eliminate the idea of the same kind of discrepancies in your system that allow you to experience the concept of pain in the way that you do, both physically and mentally and spiritually. So allowing yourself to let go of fear-based belief systems, negative belief systems, negative definitions of reality will ease the pain, because there will be no longer any resistance along your neurological network to the energy flow of your true self. So removing those belief system blockages, so to speak, will also allow you to let go of pain and conflict. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's just that you do have contrast, right? So how...
We understand that things are different from one another. If you want to call that contrast, that's fine. We understand the contrast of positive and negative because every level of existence has it, but that doesn't mean you have to experience it in the same way that you often do on Earth. So we recognize the contrast in things, but we also recognize those contrasts as emanating from a single central source. For in the middle, they're not contrasting. They're just different representations of the same one thing from different points of view. So we look at it more holographically than you do, but we understand that in your experience, it seems like a more drastic contrast than it seems to us. The idea of positive is simply energy that connects and expands, and the idea of negative is simply energy that causes experiences of dissociation and diminishment. But it's just energy to us being used in different ways. And so on that level, we don't see as much contrast as you, and we have the freedom to choose what we prefer. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
All right.
So my next question is, so I chose to come here
Yes.
and not have the abilities to see other entities in dimension. And I even forgot about who I truly was as a spirit. And
Yes.
after I went on a retreat, I was able to access and see those dimensions for myself. And it was then when I was able to realize that I came here, what I came here to learn and to possibly create.
All right. Congratulations.
But I then instantly got really scared of my own potential or even power. Because
Congratulations again. Congratulations. Because again, that's the point. You raise your vibration to a certain point, remembering to a certain point who you are, and then the challenges come up because now you can handle it. Now you can process even more. Now you can challenge yourself even greater. So that's part of the process, is eliminating the things that are no longer relevant for you in recognizing who and what you truly are. But there are different levels to it. The whole process is the point of transformation in your life. So congratulations on facing greater challenges. You can do it. You can do it. You can transform them. That's why they come up, because you're ready to transform greater challenges.
So I should just let myself go into that losing control, sense of losing control, and just...
It's only an experience of losing control. You're controlling the experience of losing control. That's the paradox. So start looking for the paradoxes and use it to your advantage. You can't actually be out of control. You can only create an experience of being out of control by controlling it with your control. That's the realization you can learn to have. It's similar to the idea of people who think they lack confidence. When someone says, I lack confidence, they're very confident about that. That's the paradox. So you're at a level where you can start to see the paradoxes, because you can start to understand there's no such thing as being out of control, actually. There's no such thing as not being confident, actually. You can create experiences of lack of confidence, lack of trust, so on and so forth, but you can't actually lack trust. You can't actually lack confidence. You can't actually lack control. It's not possible because you're in control of the reality you're experiencing. You're trusting that something is true always. You're always confident about something. It's just up to you to decide what you wish to trust in, what you wish to be confident about, and how you wish to use your control.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does. That's why I said it. So you're at the level where you can begin to understand the paradox in these things and instantly reconnect to your control, your confidence, and your trust. And make a decision about what it is you would like to use those things for, as opposed to letting your fear-based beliefs tell you what to use them for. You get to decide. You're in charge. Always.
And that gives a sense of power.
Yes. You will create the challenges you wish to face to teach you things, but you're in charge of that. Always. You're never, never a victim.
That's nice. So now for the last question.
Yeah.
I started to live according to your formula since summer last year, and I am having the highest pleasure right now because I'm able to just wake up and ask myself, what do I feel excited about doing now? And I do it. And here comes the but. But at the end of the month is when it's time to pay my bills and the doubts.
All right. So you are still making a difference between the idea of abundance and what it is you think you need. Because abundance, as we say, comes in many forms. And you have to make sure that you understand that part of the definition of your excitement is the inclusion of abundance in whatever form will truly be necessary, and remembering what all those forms are, so that you can engineer, in a sense, your reality in such a way that you may not get one form of abundance, but you have access to many other forms that you can use, but you may not be using them as fully as you could. So it's showing you that you may have an underlying belief system that creates worry and self-doubt within you about whether or not you're actually capable of attracting the forms of abundance you need to continue to act on your excitement. We understand that many humans do that because of how you've been trained, and that's fine. But that's what you have to deal with, is the underlying belief systems that you may still be carrying with you when you say, well, I'm following my excitement, and yet you always feel the need to add a but. And that's your first sign that you're carrying negative belief systems, because if you really were following your excitement in the fullest sense of the definition, there would be no but to discover within you. You would find that abundance is working for you if you are using all the forms and allowing all the forms and acting on all the forms. So you may not be acting on all the forms.
I think it's because I tried to find out some of those beliefs and I could work that out. But I think it's because I was never in this position in my life where I was able to really just wake up and do whatever I felt like excited about.
We understand that you're dealing with the concept of unfamiliarity.
Yeah, exactly. The unknown of, is it going to last or is it just...
You see, you're dealing with it right there. Is it going to last? You have to find the belief systems that tell you why it wouldn't. Because there's no reason why it shouldn't until you make the reasons why it won't. So find those belief systems, hear them clearly within you, and ask yourself, why are you holding on to that? Why does it serve you to hold on to the idea that it won't last, that it won't support you? What are you getting out of holding on to that? How is it serving you to hold on to that concept when you know that's not the concept you prefer? So you have many things that you can examine and explore within yourself with honesty about why you believe it serves you to hold on to the idea that this won't last.
I think it comes back with having the sense of control, preparing myself.
It's up to you. You don't have to answer now. We're simply telling you that's what you need to explore more fully.
Oh, all right. So yeah, I think that's all what I needed to hear.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for sharing your perspective.
Again, you are so welcome. And remember, these kinds of communications are also a form of abundance because they provide information for you to ponder. So thank you and aveo.
Have a nice day. Aveo.
Always.
Dear Bashar, I have a question regarding your ship, which is, according to what you have told us, above Sedona at this moment, and it's getting closer and closer and has got closer since you started channeling through Darrow. My question is, if time and space are an illusion and everything happens at once in this moment, doesn't that mean that the ship is everywhere, but is closer to us now, regardless of our geographical location or what we believe is our geographical location? Because our energy is higher, we are able to be less dense, and therefore the ship can come closer to us. Thank you very much.
Yes, basically that is true. Your higher frequency vibration will allow us to come closer. Being closer to the point of open contact will allow us to come closer, acting as a barometer of how close you may be to the idea of open contact and how close you may be to being in alignment with your true frequency. But don't be confused between the idea of the causal mechanism, the structure of existence where everything exists now, everything is here and now, all at once, and the idea of the experience of linear time in physical reality. Both are real and both coexist. You are creating a linear experience of time and space in physical reality as a dream. That doesn't mean that it negates the idea that everything exists at once as a description of the structure of existence. So you have to understand the difference between a description of the structure and a description of an experience. So that's the difference. But yes, higher vibration means we can come closer as a reflection of the fact that your density is approaching our density more closely, and that we can then more easily, more probably interact with one another on a frequency that is between the two. A third reality, a simulacrum, if you will, similar to the idea of the simulacrum, the third identity that is created in this channeling, because you are not getting a representation of the channel directly. You are not getting a representation of me directly. You are getting a third version that is a combination of the two that is relevant for the experience of your space-time reality. So if you were to perceive me directly, it would be somewhat different. If you were to perceive the channel directly as himself, that would be somewhat different than what you're experiencing now. This identity, the third identity, the simulation between the two, or simulacrum, is what you are experiencing as a blending of the two. In the same way that open contact will take place in a blending of the reality you're experiencing now, the reality we experience now, and a third different parallel reality that you would be experiencing now in the moment of open contact.
Good day, Bashar. How are you?
Good day. Perfect. And you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
All right.
It's an
What would
honor
you
to
like
be
to
able to
discuss?
speak with you today.
And ours as well. Please proceed.
I have some questions for you.
Yes.
So, as you may know, this has been quite an interesting month in America and the world, with an apparent U.S. government whistleblower revealing that the U.S. is in the possession of at least 12 alien craft.
Step by step disclosure is occurring. Yes.
Yeah. If the U.S. government is pressured to acknowledge and confirm this information to the American public and the world in the immediate future, with the way you read the energy now, would this accelerate open contact, or does the 2026-2027 window already account for this potential disclosure?
The 26-27 window probability accounts for a different path. The idea of these kinds of disclosures, however, does accelerate the probability of open contact. But what we're talking about as a contact event can be assisted by this to some degree in the aftermath of the event, but it is not necessarily what the probability of the event is based on.
I understand. And
All right.
there's no further information what this probability could be based on, whether it's a negative or positive event that causes that.
We are conferring. One moment. At this time, it is recognized by the majority of the conference we have just had that further discussion of this topic at this time may result in misunderstanding and misleading content. So we will refrain at this time from answering that question directly.
Understood. No problem. All right, and the next question I have is, again, the U.S. government or the main Anomaly Resolution Office has acknowledged detecting and recording videos of flying metallic orbs making, quote unquote, very interesting apparent maneuvers all over the world.
Yes.
What can you tell us about these objects and their purpose?
Well, again, a lot of them are observing your world for a variety of reasons. There are many different civilizations involved. Some of them are simply passing through and have no business with you, but they are passing through because there are many portals on your planet that allow for certain kinds of passages to occur. So the idea is, again, there's a variety of reasons and a variety of civilizations that are interested or simply not interested in what's going on your planet.
Understood. So they belong to different, they don't all belong to the same civilization or race.
No,
they belong
no.
to different people.
In the same way that you have airplanes going from country to country carrying people from different cultures on different kinds of business.
Understood. And how does the government know that they're metallic? Is it because they were able to capture one or two?
Some of them, yes. And some of them can be observed to have certain traits that in your reality appear to have metallic traits, yes. Now, not always are they actually metal. Some of them may give off traits that look like metal but aren't. Maybe different kinds of substances and how they react in your physical reality. Nevertheless, some of them from different civilizations are made of certain kinds of metallic alloys.
Understood. Thank you for that. And
Yes.
The next question is on a different topic. I do understand that reincarnation is an illusion and that all parallel lives are happening at the same time from the perspective of an oversoul.
Yes. Now, that doesn't mean reincarnation is not real as an experience, but it is not mechanically what is actually happening.
Yep. So from the point of view of my individual soul, I was previously in spirit and then linearly speaking decided to have this current physical life.
Yes.
When I am done with this life, I will go back to spirit and again, linearly speaking, may decide to have another future life.
Yes, you may.
From this perspective, and also while understanding that this is a very dynamic process and I may be plugging in and out to different lives all the time.
Yes, and that you are having that so-called future experience right now, too.
Understood. So from that perspective, can you tell me about one of my past and one future life that are most relevant to my current incarnation and are affecting me the most right now, and why?
The lives as explorers are most relevant from our perspective. So in ancient times, it might have been ocean explorers. It might have been on land that you would discover things. You might have allowed yourself to have an experience as a merchant seaman in Atlantean times. And in the future, you might be exploring different ideas of dimensions and space and time in different ways. but it is mostly the idea of exploring and gathering data and information to increase your knowledge of existence itself.
Understood. So is that what you're actually seeing by reading my energy, or?
Yes, of course. How else would we see it?
I don't know.
It's the patterns that are showing themselves to us that stand out most strongly to us at this particular moment. Especially since in having this conversation, you're also exploring.
Absolutely. So the lives that you mentioned, they have the most impact on me currently in this life.
Because you're creating them to have the most impact by making them the strongest connections that you're paying attention to.
Mm. Interesting. Okay, understood.
All right.
So I think my last question is, I'm originally from Ukraine, and I clearly remember your prediction around 2019 about an escalation of the storm in the area of the Eastern European bloc.
Yes.
That prediction unfortunately came true. So as you read the energy now, how close are we to there is any sort of resolution or peace in Ukraine